on a bunch of things, and trying to teach it to house league sort of U9 kids all the way up to junior level players. So a lot of the clips you're going to see are from the World Championships, not from the Olympics, because I haven't had time to fit all those ones in. But I think it's an area that our organization needs to be way better at. I think all female players need to be way better at, and I think can start to be taught all the way in U9 House League to build the foundation. So I'll start rolling here. So for us at our organization, we have shared principles. I've talked about this at length here before. So our 3 Ps are poise, pace, and physicality. And that allows us to speak a similar language, similar vocabulary. We have a ton of teams. We're the biggest girls association in the world. So obviously I can't be the skills coach for every team, not enough hours in the day. And we also can't, expect paid skills coaches to come in and run Kim's approved practices all the time. Obviously, we all have our own autonomy and free will. So, but if we can work with the shared principles and say, okay, skill coach X, we need to work on physicality and building a wall and creating an escape route and terms like that. Any skills coach could come in and address those needs. So it's this might be a unique way of doing it that's specific to our organization, because we can't just farm out, total female hockey or one skills area to do it, because we use 25 different rinks across the GTA to fulfill our practices. So you can imagine the kind of commute time, and with the gas prices the way they are, it probably wouldn't work very well. But basically, we're not prescribing drills for the majority of our teams. However, I am taking over sort of more of a prescriptive idea or route with our U9 and our U11 programs. So having more of a shared curriculum and shared practice plans for next season. So that's kind of how we got here. So this is our, our way to play. So all our teams play smart, fast, physical hockey, gain and maintain possession, and create advantages all over the ice. So no matter what level we're at, we're trying to do that. Clearly, our junior team is going to do that differently than our U9 rep team. But then we define it. So we define physicality using strength and speed to overwhelm. Love that word. And then we look at it on offense and defense. So owning our space, and on defense, contain, pressure, obtain. For the purpose of this presentation, we're just talking about offense. So that idea of owning our space, which I think is a very powerful term to use with our female players. So this is the Ivy Leaguer and me taking over. But this is an example of a one-page PDF we would share with all our coaches. And I may revise this for next year to try and kind of simplify a little bit, but our coaches seem to like it, and our players seem to be able to speak this language. So obviously we're talking about offense, thinking of play ahead, and initiating contact. That's the term I'm using incessantly with our players and teams. Initiate contact when you have the puck, which is a very new concept to the majority of them. I won't bore you with all the details of this. Obviously, if you want a copy of it, you know where to find me, or you can just come and stare at this video later when Wally posts it. But think of play ahead, initiating contact, and all the skills that go into that, and how do we teach the basics. So here we go from the Worlds. I'm just showing a clip of like this type of contact happens 100 times a game, maybe more. Turnbull and Hirakoski here. So owning that space, little bump. Not great defense by Finland there. But again, this type of race, right? And how many millions of times do we see this in a game? And Turnbull could just go in and have a sword fight here with Hirakoski. But, she gains that space, initiates contact through the stick, makes a pretty good play. So we'll keep rolling through the clips here. So thinking of play ahead, we'll start with building a wall. So you can see here, Ambrose moves it to Nurse. So Nurse in the corner, here's the one you want to see. Just that idea of putting her butt into the other player's hands. That's what allows her to make that play. So we'll show it again here, I think, slow-mo. So Ambrose does it as well. But just that idea of turning your body, like this is not an elite level skill. Like a house league player can understand that. She might not have the heel-to-heel skills maybe to do it, but just understanding, put your butt in the other girl's hands, it always gets a good laugh. They can do that, right? And can they do it against Team Russia in the World Championships? That might take a couple of years, but right? Just protects the play, pucks in her feet, right? And that's a position where a lot of girls are uncomfortable. You know, I tell them we're going to put the puck in your feet and get pinned. And they're like, but I don't have it on my stick. Well, we got to get used to not having the puck on our stick all the time, guys. So anyways, really simple play. And these would be the clips that I would show our coaches to teach them. And they can then have access to all these clips. So this is a pretty good clip. You see both Jenner and Poulin do the exact same thing on the exact same shift. This is from the PWHPA. So through the hands, scoring chance, and then the other way on the same shift, Poulin, through fast hands, scoring chance. So again, Jenner here cuts off, I think it's Poulin, so that's a pretty good battle. Initiating contact, right? This is all legal, but we see girls here, they'll go in, you know, now this is a pretty good foot race. You know, they're just hit sticks or you go, I don't want it, right? And that's not a lot of contact, but it's enough to control the stick and get a scoring chance. And again, can our players do that at younger, lower levels? Absolutely. So here, this is a great clip of Johnson. So just pulling the puck wide, lean in, drive skate. Nice save by Makla. So we'll show that again, wide. So build the wall. So it goes puck, you, bad guy. I'll show a picture of that in a minute. Arm bar, outside edges, inside edges, C cuts. Okay, can all our players do that? Okay, first of all, we all want our players to be able to do that. And that is a missing skill in a lot of girls hockey, but that's where we want to get to. And then here's a clip of Dau against Finland, against a 6-footer. So building the wall. She has an escape route now, so she can go either way. She reads the pressure from the Finnish player and is able to spin off an attack. So she reads the stick, great acceleration, decent shot opportunity. So here, quick read. Now this is putting all the skills that we're going to start building the foundation together or in one clip. But so there's another Dartmouth alum, and we're not all bad. So there's Stacy. I love this picture. So this is one now I just added into the presentation, but this shows you exactly what we're trying to do. Puck, you, bad guy. And this is something this is one of the first things I show our players, right? We've got to be able to build that wall, right? To create separation. So again, is it going to be able to be done on the Olympic level right away? Absolutely not. But this concept they can all get. Even my 5-year-old gets that one. She tells me I'm the bad guy. So here's just basic leaning in. So here is just a basic practice plan that I've developed. So I did this with U9 House League all the way up to our junior team and everyone in between. So quite often I'll just take a practice plan and I look at it as like the alphabet, right? So if the around the circle C cuts is A, and this drill in the bottom right corner where they do a little turn back based on coach pressure, that might be G or H, right? Like depending on what we're teaching. So maybe those U9 House League kids don't get to this drill, you know, this C cut around and shoot. You know, the stick battles I don't have in here, but that's just a fun drill. So we're trying to get from A to Z, right? But everyone's got to start at drill 1 here on A. Like you'd be astonished how many high-level players can't put the puck on the outside and do C cuts. And then often we put a coach in the middle with their hands up, showing different numbers. And on the whistle, they change direction. They're not good at it. Now, are they high-level hockey players? Yes. Do they need work on the fundamentals? Absolutely. Okay, so the drills I'm going to show don't directly go through this progression, but I just want to give you an idea. This is, I did this and coached them, so if you want me to share it, I can. So this is all on Instagram. All my good stuff's on Instagram. So just like, now these are older players. These are U15 to U22, but they struggled with this outside edge, right? So this player here is a junior player, so I'll pick on her. Outside edge here, right? Splitting the feet, leaning in. So I tell them they got to have their pants on the wall. This is a great way to teach initiating contact because your opponent's not going to fall over. The U9 kids have fun with this because they try to see how far they can lean and then fall over. But it's a great starting point, and you build that foundation. And again, you know, she's on her forehand. This is easy. These two are on their backhand, and it's a little hard to see here. But you can see that, you know, they have some different challenges crossing their hands. This one, you know, maybe getting their hands away. Like these are basic fundamentals. Now, we don't spend a lot of time here with this age group, but with the U9s, we do spend a lot of time here. So real simple drill. They're just changing direction on the whistle. Now, same thing with the puck. Okay, so again, with the little kids, I would have to show them how to dribble on their forehand and backhand side first before we get here. The older kids usually know how to do this. And then the final progression is we just have some instructors. Normally we'd have more instructors, but I was too busy videoing. And they're just calling out numbers. So just scanning and awareness. Again, really basic, but this is a good way to set a foundation. Even if it's a higher level group, just start here. Start here and reinforce the basics, right? And then every time you touch on initiate contact, build the wall, scan the ice, right? You've just dropped that seed in at the beginning of the practice for them to build off of, which I think is important. So again, a lot of them here, especially the U9s, as soon as you start this scanning, everything breaks down. They're not leaning into the wall. They can't stick handle anymore. They're not doing it, they're not turning on the whistle. Like, it just turns into a disaster. So this used to be where I started back in the summer, but there's no wall here. So these kids struggle a little bit to get on their outside edge. But we would do this stationary, okay? And we could add more scanning. So these are U9 and U11, I think. Just trying to lean in, right? So they're trying to get, the key here is the straight leg with the straight stick. So some of them struggle with that. They want to bend the leg that's close to the stick. These players are a little bit younger. These are a little bit older, but this is the first time they've done it. So it's a bit of a yard sale, and that's fine. But just getting to lean in to initiate contact. So we would do this moving as well, maybe just around the ice as a warm up. Again, you can use the instructors to hold up hands. So this might be a progression of the leaning in against the wall that we did before. Just simple stuff, nothing revolutionary. Now this one's a hit with the crew. So obviously there's not two pucks on the ice. They love to remind me of that. But now they're initiating contact against somebody else. So we don't see this exact type of contact a ton, right? Like that pure lateral contact. But this is a great way in a big group. You can easily have 30 kids doing this, and the instructors can, go around, fix hands, fix body position. So we stick our stick right in between their pants there to make sure there's no space. So that's one of the key cues. These players are both midget players, so they can be cued to get on their outside edges more, right? And then they're trying to do puck, you bad guy. So we want the puck out here, outside the feet as much as possible. You can see a bunch of them are looking down. Again, these are all new drills to them. So, there's a lot of room to work. And then they just spin around on the whistle and continue. It takes them a little longer than I would like. I like to move fast, but you get the idea here. Okay, so here's a progression. These are 7-year-olds. Pretty good. This one in green's pretty good. So this is spin it to win it, which is just a fun drill. We remind them to build the wall. So the only cue beyond, we start them in that initiating contact position. And then we ask them, we want you to maintain possession with as little skating as possible. So try to hold your ground, own your space. Don't skate away from the other girl. Like, try to be rooted like a tree. So I'd say she does a pretty good job here, this green player. Right? So she's building the wall. The one in red's probably being a little nice. That's okay, right? But just pulling the puck away, right? I'd like to see her push into the player a little bit more, but that requires a little more inside edge work. But that's pretty good. Here's some bigger ones doing the same thing. So again, they try to do dance moves and stay away from each other. We actually want them to push back into each other, right? So you'd like to see this player in white get on her inside edges and actually push her butt into the player in black, right? But again, that takes a little bit more confidence in the drill. And this is still a pretty good starting point. It works really well to have like the half moon or the circle to keep them corralled in place if you don't want to put too much stuff down on the ice. So this is, the kids love the hitting pad, so we bring them out. And again, this is just a way to get them to initiate contact. Lateral contact like this, we don't see a ton in the female game, but it does help to initiate contact with that shoulder on drive skating. So you can say, I don't know if these players have ever done this before I filmed this. This might be their first crack at a drill like this. Okay, but, just trying to shift weight and lean in, not stand up. So hopefully it slow down. So you see this player here, I think she's an A or AA player. But look what happens when she goes to initiate contact. And how often do we see this? Right? So she's going to initiate contact basically on one foot, standing up straight. If my instructor here wasn't as nice as she is, we could send this player flying. But really simple drill. All the players are lined up here off screen. We started this without the puck first. And you have it going out of both ends. So really good drill to run out of practice because you can have it going. Goalies are going to get warmed up. Can obviously change what skill we want the shooter to do. as we go in. So that's kind of a leaning in progression. Now drive skating, right? Our ability to do what Johnson did in that clip. We progress to one hand off the stick, but you'll see kind of how we work on that outside edge, leaning in here, kind of more of a circular pattern. So these are the House League kids. So just doing C cuts around the circle.
Kim, Dave Barrett had his hand up.
Sorry, Dave. I can't see any hands right now, Wally. So if you can manage that for me, that'd be great. We can just hold it here, and yeah, if anyone has questions, feel free to shoot.
So Kim, I didn't know if you wanted to go through the whole thing or you didn't mind being interrupted, so I just threw a hand up there.
I love talking, Dave. So do whatever. I'm good.
So you didn't answer my question then.
You can interrupt me. I have a 7, 5, and 4-year-old. I'm used to it.
So a couple things. One, do you ever do any of this off ice? Because there's a lot of these things that look like you could do leaning on the walls, a lot of balance drills. I'll know you're not on skates. Do you ever do any of it off ice with these drills?
Yep. Yeah, I totally do. And I would like to do more. You know, obviously in Toronto here, we've not had our our ducks in a row, but absolutely. You could see a group like this would be a perfect example, right? You just line them up in the hallway with their skates on when they're dressed and just start with that. Just holding their stick like that, and then you've kind of eliminated that first drill, or at least lessen the amount of ice time you're wasting. I always say Toronto ice time is like a large Starbucks a minute, right? So you know how valuable it is. But yeah, we can definitely do a lot of this off the ice. Inevitably our coaches are going to teach it more on the ice. And I think it has an impact too when the parents see it. The parents love this. Oh my God, do they love this? They just feel like their daughters are just getting some secret code that they never had before. So there is a value from an instructor standpoint to showing this on the ice, because it definitely does have a bit of a wow factor because their daughters are never taught this.
But like like using your body to protect the puck or the ball is a common concept in soccer or basketball or hockey. And like my father was a soccer player, so he taught me this kind of stuff, and I appreciate in the women's game it might be a little bit unique. But I wondered also if you ever looked at soccer drills or basketball drills as opportunities to learn how to build that wall, as you talk about, and use your body as a weapon offensively to protect the ball or the puck or whatever you're using.
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't even play hockey till I was 13. I was a soccer and basketball player, so I think I had an innate ability to do this. But yeah, those are different ways that, what this year we were hoping to instill the curriculum on a large scale, and of course that got curtailed a little bit. But I think that especially for our entire U9 and U11 age group from AA all the way down to House League is going to have a similar curriculum. So to your point, I can't deliver that on the ice with every single team. That would be almost 35 teams between those two levels. So we would, we have to find more creative ways of doing it. So absolutely. And I also think, some of our coaches at these levels who maybe aren't as experienced on the ice and might not be as comfortable on their outside edges might feel a lot more comfortable teaching it leaning against a wall or with a soccer ball or a basketball as well. So no, that's a great point. And, definitely ways to see transference. Although it's interesting, sometimes I ask the girls, could you play soccer or basketball? And it's a bit disturbing how few hands go up sometimes, although I think they're also scared of me. So there's that. And they don't want to answer my question. So that's fine too. Any other hands up, Wally? Sorry, I can't see it, but I'm afraid if I push a button, everything will burn down here.
Keep her going.
Keep her going. All right, more talking. So like I said, this is drive skating. We would start without the puck. And this is the first time these kids have done it, like literally their first rep. So this one who's coming around the corner here is not bad. Rest of them are struggling a bit, but you got to embrace the suck, as I like to say. So here's, again, a junior player doing it with the puck. We'd start without the puck. So just some drive skating. You can see she's pretty good on that outside edge. And here's a progression. Sorry, the video is not great on this one, but we're teaching here shin pad to stick. So let me go back here. And I didn't double up on these drills. So here, right, the puck is the bad guy here, right? So she's trying to build that wall. So as she goes through, she's pulling the puck as far away as possible and rebuilding that wall. So this player, as my orange jersey people are the ones who've done a lot of stuff with me, she's pretty good at this. So pulls the puck through, and then she's trying to create puck, bad guy here, a real simple drill. You could do this with 3 players and the 2 players can be the pylons. So that's kind of what we did here with the coach. So here we tell the players to go shin pad to stick, right? So we talk about controlling other people's sticks. You can do that when your butt is on their hands and also when you get shin pad to stick. And obviously she could drop her, well, maybe not on her forehand side, but on her backhand side, drop her hand to push away the stick, but just some planting of the seed of this idea with the players. So this again is, you know, if you have 30 players on the ice, this is pretty easy to do, although the Zamboni guys don't love it so much after. That's why we pay them the big bucks. So again, now we would go just drive skating around the circle. So here's the house league kids, just leaning in, right? Like that's dead simple, but again, how often have our players done that? And we don't need the hitting pads here. Again, the coaches kind of like having them too, you know, give your players a little love. Okay, but yeah, she could be better outside edge. She could pull that puck. But for a house league kid, that's not bad on the backhand. It's a good, you know, you got to start somewhere. The shot needs some work, but that's something else. Okay, so we got a double A kid. So there's that drive skate, right? She's just leaning in against the coach. This player's got great edges. So there's a younger kid. So same thing, drive skating, right? So she doesn't want to initiate contact, that one. She just wants to run away. This is typical in our game. Right, so we see the first one. The player has to lean into the coach, but they don't want to. They want to kind of stay on the outside. So we tell them, you hit the coach. The coach doesn't hit you, as much as my coaches might want to hit them just for fun. But again, they want to accept the outside and skate into the corner. So this takes a while for them to get used to. But, you know, that's the same drill as the house league kids did. So again, these are all U11 kids, I believe, maybe some U13s. Can add a little dangle or something before they shoot. So you can see, set this up in 4 corners. You can put 2 more stations in the middle of the ice. This one likes to initiate contact. And there's always a few in each group who love it. But again, you know, these kids will all be playing A, double A, younger. This one's doing a good job of turning her shoulder. I think that's the 2nd or 3rd time she's done it. She's done a couple camps. But just give you an idea, like, again, these kids are all pretty good skaters, pretty decent hockey players, but even then, you know, this is a concept that they're not super comfortable with. So here's the higher level kid again, initiate contact. So now there's just a little turn back. So we can do that where it's scripted. So this would be the scripted version where we tell her she's got to turn back, right? And, you know, there's a main attacking area right here. So the defenseman takes the inside, she rolls back to the outside. We can also do it where it's unscripted. So my coach here would push more on one side than the other. So if she pushed her on the hash mark side, obviously that would accelerate the player here. If you pushed her on the high side, that would cue the player to roll off. So again, out of this group of 4, maybe this player here could read the push a little bit already and be able to understand how to spin off of it. The other 3 may not be there yet, so it might be something that we'd introduce, or we just meet them where they are, right? If this is E in the curriculum, you know, this kid might be able to go to M, but this kid might need E. So you gotta switch it up as we go through. Push them where we can, and my instructors kind of understand how to do that. I think this might be the same clip. So just drive skate, that's a pretty good wall, right? And then make the read, and we can add all sorts of things after it to increase the skill. So let's see what, oh, this might have a heel to heel. Yeah, so just another protect move. So just adding some different skating skills to it, right? And we would have already taught that heel to heel. So now she's making a read, right? So this coach is trying to keep up, just keeps pushing her, and then she turns away from contact. Not that she has to turn away from contact. She can obviously drive through it if she wants. So that's kind of the drive skating piece. Wally, I don't know if anyone has a hand up or if we can, this is sort of my last, I guess, nugget here.
I have a question.
Go for it, Wally.
Watching this, you're teaching, you've broken it down brilliantly. There's progressions in there I've never thought of, all unique. I'm thinking the average coach might not be able to teach those points, but the kids would have to practice them in small area games. 1-on-1, 2-on-2, small area. You're just repeating that. And my concern is the degree of details that you, and I'm sure most of the people on here have for the teaching aspect, today's coaches, it's pretty complex for them, and I'm wondering, when you're not there, do they rely on small area games more or deliberate teaching?
That's a great point. So when I'm not, so they're always on the ice with me. So there's, some teams I'm on with every week, and some, they say, hey, can you come do the physicality thing? And I come do the physicality thing. So I always encourage as many coaches learning with their players on the ice at the same time. It's not a night off to go and get a coffee. So that's the first point. Second point is that shared vocabulary is really critical. So as I'm teaching, we're talking about building the wall. We're talking about button the hands. We're talking about puck you, bad guy. And these players remember, especially the button the hands, they remember all this stuff. So even if the edge work isn't perfect, or that's the seed we really want to plant, is the words, because then the coach can come back and say, okay, we're going to work on initiating contact. What did Coach Kim say about building the wall? Now, this is girls hockey. Like when you ask, 5 hands go up, and you might not get the answer you want, but they are usually pretty engaged in this stuff. They want to show that they've learned. So we teach the vocabulary as well as the drills to support it, and then I leave them with the drill plan. So all our coaches are on the same Coach Them platform, so they have access to all the drills. I have videos of all the drills on there, and then anytime I run a practice plan with a team, I send it to them. Like, it's not really rocket science. So I send it to them. So then I say, okay, you have to repeat this exact practice 2 more times, right? So if it's a Monday, do it the next 2 Mondays. The first time we do it, they're just learning. Second time, some of them might be able to really nail it down. Some are still learning. By the third time, most of them, they know the drills, they know the key concepts, the key vocabulary, and they're now being able to utilize it, manipulate it, use it as a tool to their advantage. So that would be how I help the coaches to cement some of these fundamental skills, right? We talked before, coaches want to just rush through it and be like, oh, we did it once. We always think we touched on it once, so of course all the players remember, right? And clearly they don't. So, that would be a fundamental sort of practice plan. This is probably 2 or 3 practice plans once we get through all of it. But that's how I would do it, and then I would have the video and the resources to support it. But that's, again, that vocabulary, and you'll see some drills here. So there's going to be more compete drills and small area games that are going to force them to initiate contact and build the wall, and then the coaches can keep throwing out those terms. And then I encourage them, like whether it's the Team Canada clips I showed earlier, or even video from their own games, right? Can you watch video from your own team and pick out examples of initiating contact or getting your butt in the hands, or right? So it's a lot more powerful when the girls see it themselves doing it. So I hope that helps, but I'll show a couple compete drills here that are fun. And
just want to mention on the guys' side, observing practices and just being in the minor hockey listening group, coaches usually say, well, we've worked on that. And it's that one time we've worked on it, but they really haven't accomplished the purpose of whatever the working on it was. So I think what you're doing is brilliant if they can experiment with it and the idea of your 3 keywords, and then physicality and what that means, and the subwords that go into that. You get the picture from those subwords, and the biomechanics will fall in place quite naturally. So that's good. Continue. Go ahead.
Thanks, Wally. And just to piggyback on that, like all the teachings of it, and like the videos I've done, like the whole curriculum of why we do this, like we have a whole website I created that feeds the coaches this information, right? So they can always refer back to it. It's not just a one and done sort of thing, but yeah, they have to hammer it home. And it's like the John Wooden quote, right? You haven't taught until they've learned. How do you know if they've learned? Well, I mean, you can ask them, and again, the girls will put up their hand, but until you can watch a video of a game or be standing on the bench and see them doing this, then they haven't really learned it, right? They're not using it as an offensive weapon. So that gives you your greatest feedback tool. Do I see our kids doing it? Are they missing opportunities to do it? And again, it might take 3 or 4 months. If it's a brand new skill like this, to many of them, it might take a while. But the hope is 3 to 5 years from now, every single player we have who's as old as these two in this picture will have learned it since they're 8 and are great at it. And then, I probably don't have a job anymore, but that's fine. All right, so start more drills like this in a pinned position. I alluded to this earlier when I saw the Sarah Nurse clip, right? The puck's here in Katie's feet, and that's okay. I'd like to see Katie's hand up the wall a little bit more. She's a pretty tall kid. But just this idea of being comfortable with the puck not on your blade and being able to build that wall, right? So, if this player starts to fish around it with her stick, you've already won. You just spin and go. Anyways, start more like this. I made them stand here for a long time. They didn't really love that. So here's the little kids, right? So just pinning this, this is a variation. So then they pinned on one side and they had to spin off of it and sprint to the blue. So these two, so here's the pin. She goes more on one side, pin, and then we add the puck. So again, like this, these are our youngest players, and start without the puck. This is a great drill, right? Get to the middle, get inside the dot line, right? Where all the good stuff happens. So here, right? Could she go heel to heel there and spin? Sure. There's a bunch of other skills she could use. So here's the old ladies doing it. So pushing off, right? And then I think she skates through the stick here. So they're just combining 2 initiating contact skills. And then she would pick up a puck from the other side and go in and shoot. Would be another way to do this. So get lots of reps. Same thing with the puck. So you could start tons of drills like this, right? Just do a single push. But again, shin pad the stick in a more linear fashion, right? So here's, to your point, Wally, some more basic drills to get them initiating contact. So this one I call the 2-go. It's not in the practice plan I showed. So the white player here is being pinned by the black player. So my coach over here is cueing them. So there's 2 goes. On the first go, the white player pushes her off her back, kind of like the drills you just saw. And then she does like what I call dance moves. And the reason we have her do that is just to get her comfortable handling the puck along the wall with someone on her back. So ideally, if she could push her off and just get to the net, we would love that. But the dance moves gives this player in black another opportunity to initiate contact, and for white to make another read to spin off of it. So you see here, these are both U13 minor players, first-year players. So she's doing the dance moves, then you hear the second go, and the player in white here does a great job, right? Spins off, and we see it again. So let's watch slow motion. So there's the initial push off. So this would be the first go. Okay. And, there's a bunch of stuff to work on here, but she's just working in that space beneath the net. There's the second go. So the player in black does a good job of pinning. So she could spin right there, get to the net, but I guess she sees the stick, doesn't want to go that way. So here's the right way to go. Okay, just a really simple drill. They love it. And again, you could have a goalie here. You could set it up a million different ways, but this is a really simple one that they seem to really enjoy. So same idea, just a slightly different spot. So here's the first go. There's the second go. The one in all black likes to hit people, which is fine. Okay, so again, spinning off pressure, building that wall, spinning off again, right? So, that uses all the skills. There's the same 2 again. So build the wall. We're not working really on the defensive side of it, but we could obviously include that as well. So again, just, initiate. I'd like to see her initiate a little earlier there, but that's okay. So again, just competitive. And then this is our 2-on-2 game. So they go in 1-on-1. Could easily have the goalies here. They go in 1-on-1, and whichever player touches it first, her team's on offense. And then she can add in a second player. So for the younger, less experienced players, we send 2 in right away, or 1 in right away like this, and then the second 2 engage right away. But these players, again, are AA players. So we're making them think a little bit more. So when I think the player in black touches the puck first, I think her partner's sleeping a little bit back here in line, but she can initiate adding another player. So she'll wake up eventually. There you go. So they have to score by doing a wraparound. So they can't just shoot it from out there. So then red gains control and the other red jumps in. So this one's a fan favorite. like to see a little more contact. You can imagine we do this with the junior players in the same amount of space, right? So now the bodies are a lot bigger. I don't ever go above 2-on-2. I like it just as a 2-on-2 drill, because then no one's just a casual observer. So I'll just backtrack again, and then I'll stop talking, and turn this stuff off. So again, they're going to have to initiate contact there. So you get a little bit of that skill, and then add them in, and then fight for that possession. And then we go 2-on-2 live. So this gets pretty competitive, especially if you add the goalies in. And then they have to score on the wraparound. That one's pretty simple. And then you guys already know where to find me, so I guess we don't need that part. That's all my blabbing. Sorry, guys. I talked for a long time. Sorry, Wally. I don't think you were expecting all of that, but you got it anyways. You're welcome. I'm going to stop sharing. There you go, Wally. I'm done.
Thanks very much, Kim. I guess I got a question. I've worked with a few coaches over many years, and Jordan, you work with the midget AA team. How much of this would you be able to apply moving forward with your teams at selective times? That saying of right stuff, right amount, right time. You're coaching a team competing in a league at a different level, and these little tactical skills are critical. So I'm just curious, for all people that are still actively coaching, but Jordan in particular, knowing your AA girls, how would you apply some of those things in your practice? Jordan, are you there? Okay, I'm going to ask Carla if is this something you would do on a skills only day, or is this something you do, some of these kinds of things, or you may be a person who would let them compete in small area games more and reinforce teaching points? Carla?
Yeah, thanks, Wally. Thanks, Kim. It was really good. No, I think, Wally, there's a time and place for all of it. And at the end of the day, when doing the small area games and the combative stuff, as Kim was showing, I just see a real natural feel. It allows you to just to teach both sides of the games and so many more of your opportunities that you do. So I think of a natural angling drill. Well, this engagement piece that she's teaching us and showing us here today, that's what the offensive puck carrier can be working on. So now you can work both sides of your drill consistently. So no, I really appreciate sort of the process that you take, Kim, and the detail at which you're teaching and the progressions that you have too, that Wally alluded to. So I think all this stuff applies at every level. Like, again, she's showing the national team clips and they're working on that stuff too. So, I think Kim stated often, like, to the level of our players, what do we need and how do we need it? So, I start drills a lot that way too, Kim. I've done it a little bit more from the defensive side at times. So I was like, okay, well, I'll engage the offensive side now. So, that got me thinking. So I think there's endless value as long as you've got a plan and a purpose. I think athletes grow, and that's what exactly I saw in that presentation was a purposeful presentation, that depending on where our groups are, we can kind of pick a starting point and help them grow. So, I always naturally lean a little bit more to I would actually grow just like Kim showed. I would naturally do sort of a strategic skill-based drill at some point in the practice leading up to a small area game where we'd emphasize the same tactics. So I thought it was great. Really enjoyed it. And I would absolutely steal some of it, and I will. So thanks for that, Kim.
Yeah, I'm curious about Al Ramsey because he's working at younger age levels. Al, are you still with us? No response. Okay. Dave, it's been a while since you've been on the ice, but the challenge of applying the details of this to minor hockey players, but guys in particular, I think the girls feed off detail. They get the purpose of what you're doing. And I'm just wondering whether guys, and that's where if Al was on, I'd sure love to hear him speak to it, to what degree would this become boring for guys, or would they eat the deliberate practice up and benefit from it? Al, I see you're available.
Yeah, sorry, Wally, just took my mute a few minutes there to catch up. But no, I thought the presentation was amazing. I thought she did a really good job of breaking the skills down. Really loved the teaching points, and obviously the small area game. So I mean, from my side, this is something that's not female specific, right? I mean, this is extremely useful on the male side as well, and it's, you know, we're doing a lot of similar stuff with the kids. I mean, you know, body contact has to be started from 6U, 8U, right, for the guys. Because by the time they get to 14U, if they try to do a 3-day check-in clinic, which is what, you know, they try to push on the kids here, it's too late, right? Like they've got to be learning this stuff starting from a really young age, like Kim said about, you know, teaching the house league kids. We do the same thing with ours here. So I think it's really great stuff. I'm going to steal a little bit of it too, Kim, and really appreciate the presentation today.
Kim, I just want to mention, before you were born, I was a part of the Hockey Canada group developing a checking progression. And one of the first progressions was called contact confidence. And the players, one on each side of the blue line, but elbows joined, were leaning on each other. They had 3 strides, contact, 3 strides, contact, elbows joined. And then they would go with no elbow contact. One would be the contactor, one could be the receiver, but that's what we were doing back in the day. But this was just contact confidence. They feel comfortable with it. And I noticed in some of the girls were a little shyer than others. And I think young boys, it's the same thing. There are some that are overly aggressive. And Al, I'm sure you've done the gauntlet drill in the past, which I think you might be going to court for if you did it again. But I find it's a great drill done in with young boys, where there's separation and the players are staggered as a player skates through the gauntlet, initiating contact with the stationary people, and then coming down the boards and trying to get through everybody really cracking you. But the practical value of that is just psychologically coping with contact, overcoming fear. And I think the game is changing on the guy's side, where stick on puck, body position, and awareness of what's available and doing things to create more availability of options. The game is just changing enormously. So, Kim, the Hockey Canada skills presentation, I shared Daryl's talk with Hockey Alberta, and an excellent one, but the one following it by Riley is another example, I think, of you young people are taking things to another level. So kudos to you. Now, I don't know.
Wally, do you mind if I just want to thank you for that, by the way. You guys are very kind. And as you can tell, I'm got to use my Ivy League skills somewhere. So this is getting a little nerdy on my end. But I agree with you completely. It is confidence. And I think in girls hockey, like if I could just inject everyone with confidence and give them no more skill, the level of female hockey would go up exponentially, right? Like so much of it is them just having more confidence and feeling like they have a tool. The nice thing about this is they feel like they have a tool that other people don't have, right? It's like a little bit of a secret sauce now that everyone's going to steal my stuff. Like, I don't care. It's all on my Instagram. You can have it all. But, you know, when they go in and do it, it's funny because I see the girls do it in a game and they put their butt in their hands. They push off someone on the wall and the other player like flies across the ice. Like because she's not expecting to be pushed when the other girl has the puck. And like that alone is worth its weight in gold, right? Just watch that other player fly off and you get a free pass to the net. You know, that's all they need. They just need that one instance of initiating contact and gaining space. And that's all it takes to get them to use it. And to your point, you know, the ones who are slightly more aggressive or overly aggressive, and we have those in the female game too, right? Teaching them how to do it strategically to be able to spin off, right? If you're that aggressive and you can create a huge escape route for yourself, I mean, now you're just offensively, you're driving the bus, right? The little ones may not be able to get themselves as big of an escape route. So, you hear it from both sides, the ones who are less confident and the ones who maybe don't know how to use their superpowers in the right way, and being able to give them a little bit more direction. Because again, you can teach them how to initiate contact, how to build the wall, how to build an escape route. But then what do? Like, you have to do something with it. You have to make a decision as a result of that, right? So this is a little more of the fundamental skill, but then we're constantly infusing, okay, what side does that girl stick on? When she pins you, then you look over your shoulder. If her stick's over there, don't go that way. Like that, again, it's pretty low-hanging fruit. But that's how we start to teach hockey IQ and layer it in with the skill. You're on mute, Wally.
Dave Barrett and Al Ramsey. So Dave, would you go first?
Hey, thanks. Kim, that was awesome. Love the progressions. I actually don't usually think of it from the offensive side. I think of it from the defensive side. So 3 quick points. One, and I think Mike Weaver can attest to this, that the way you play defensively in those situations has evolved tremendously over time. We used to use can openers and a lot of clutch and grab, and that's kind of gone away now. And you got to move your feet and be a little bit more smart about how you're utilizing your stick. Whereas I think the offensive kind of concepts that you brought forward are more timeless. And I think what were used many years ago, and maybe you're thinking about it, it's progressed, but kind of the skills have maintained the same. 2, when I used this with our university girls, we were introducing a lot more physicality into our game. They used to start giggling when we did drills because they weren't used to the contact that we were introducing to them. And then they got more and more comfortable with it over time. Their kind of level of grit in their game and sandpaper in their game was exponentially growing because they really had never been exposed to the type of thinking you're doing. And 3, to Wally's kind of identity and purpose kind of conversations that you have more at a mission statement level, I think this feeds perfectly into it. If your team is desiring to be, a more competitive, physical type of team, you start to build these drills into it and reinforce that culture that your group is aspiring to be like. And I know on our team, that's certainly something that we did every day in practice to reinforce the identity of our team, not only during games, but during practices, and it just built into it. And I think on the offensive side, Kim, what you're showing from a physicality perspective, I think is outstanding. So it's great. Thank you so much for that.
Al?
Yeah, I was going to say, Wally, one of the nuances that I really, really loved about the presentation was the different looks in the small area games and the one-on-ones from different starting positions in the drill. Like starting from the pin and starting from a 50-50 race fairly close to the boards, coming down the wall, coming out of the corner. Like I just love the way that you could manipulate the types of contact and the types of how they're going to deal with that contact just by changing sort of the scenario, right, for essentially the same drill, like a one-on-one. So I thought that was really good, Kim.
Well, and there's like, as it evolves, right? Like every puck retrieval, like a lot of puck retrievals have this, right? Like I think about Cribber and like, you're teaching the D how to do a regroup, but inevitably they have to retrieve the puck first and make a read and scan the ice. And is there somebody chasing them? Do they have to win the lane before they even get there? All these, it applies in so many different areas. And, the contact against the wall, it seems to be the area that has the most immediate positive feedback from the coaches and the parents, because they feel like their players are safer, whether they have or don't have the puck. And I do teach it from the defensive side, but I've kind of, at least in my business, I try to teach things that A, maybe a lot of other people aren't teaching, and B, kind of things that separate you from everybody else. So like if not a lot of other girls are doing this and you're great at it, it's going to make you stand out. So that's kind of the way I approached it from the total female hockey side of things, maybe less so from when I'm wearing my Lee side hat. But the parents just, they just are like over the moon about this, and the coaches as well. And it comes down to safety and, concussions in the female game. It's still a huge problem, right? So even if it's just contact confidence, When you have the puck, it's going to transfer over if you're comfortable leaning in and getting on that outside edge and not being up so tall. So, that's not necessarily the sell when I'm speaking to the players. Like, you're going to get hurt less, but we are seeing that that is happening. And there's less, sword fight and chicken fight going in for a puck along the wall because they understand how to win the lane and initiate contact safely. So that's, a very important bonus of all of this over and above driving offense.
Mike Weaver.
Hey guys. Well, yeah, sorry I haven't been on in the last couple of weeks. I've been very, very busy. But I'm glad I actually was on this one. Kim, that was what I saw. I only saw the second part of it, but it was very it was awesome. I really liked those that game at the end too was pretty cool for the wraparounds too. One of the things I would say with hitting, I think that they ended up going, I don't know if you guys have touched on it. They ended up going too old for these kids. They moved it up to Bantam, which I think that they are too big and too strong, too many different heights. And if it was still at the major Pee-wee, that's kind of you're a little bit more Gumby around that age compared to getting into the Bantam ages. So that would be kind of my thing. And then when Kim was talking about obviously understanding coming into the hit of where the stick is, because a lot of kids are just going for the hit rather than coming in with a plan. And if you're able to come in with a plan and your objective is not to murder the person, your objective is to separate the man from the body and understand that, having respect for the game and the respect for your opponents is huge in this game. And sure, it's great to have a big hit and everything, but the outcome should be to get that puck.